Hello, welcome back to Nothing and Everything, a podcast that I don't have an intro for. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Russell.
And we're back, and it's like the old form, and it feels like home. We're back. I have to come up with a theme song. Ben, do you have any good ideas?
Well, it should probably have some sort of musical instruments or artificial musical instruments via maybe GarageBand or something like that, or a Casio keyboard.
I was thinking about doing it all, I don't know what it's called. Maybe it is called acapella, where you do all the instrumentation with your own voice, like you beatbox it all. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, welcome to this thing. And just purposely do it half-assed, because that's the energy that at least I bring to the show. You bring a lot more professionalism, especially with the idea that we were talking about just off air that we won't talk about on here. But like the level of professionalism and thought that you put into things is so much higher than what I put into it. And it's an anomaly that this ship has not exploded around us. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just trekking along this very, very warm, hot summer.
Oh, it's at least, so hot.
Around my area, it's just like, okay, it's only the end of June. Oh. I thought this stuff was going to be waiting until like late July, August.
Oh, it's so hot. Like, this is bad radio, but Ben can see me on the camera. My hair is like dripping wet, and I have really long hair right now. And the room I'm in, the reason I record in this room is because it's actually the only room in the house that has no ventilation going to it for some reason. So when the AC kicks on, or it doesn't, you can't hear it in here. It's silent. Okay. That's our chose to record, but in the winter it was always really cold and I was wearing jackets. I forgot that in the summer this happens.
It's a sauna.
Yeah, I'm going to sweat out a lot of my weight in here. I'm going to be so shredded at the end of this podcast. But yeah, it's good. I got my student ID today, so I'm officially a grad student.
Most excellent. Congratulations.
Yeah, it'll be cool. It's official. I have an ID number, and now I have to pay tuition. Yay.
Womp womp.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, congratulations, here's your student ID. You owe us blank amount of money. It's like, ooh, nice. Okay, forgot about that part. I thought I'd just get to come here for free and get, like, a master's degree. Apparently, that's not how it works. Who knew?
Yeah.
But yeah. How's summer school going for you, Ben?
Second half is basically just reading and papers. So that's it's taking up a good chunk. But I mean, I don't mind. I actually kind of like those and prefer those classes just because I do well on like short form essays and well even long form essays as well. It's kind of my area of it's where I shine. It's as Ralph Wiggum said, it's where I'm a Viking.
Yep, that is where you're a Viking. I remember that from the classes we had together, just killing it on those. Which is good because you like film and writing and editing. It is good that you like to write, which is important for your career.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's one of those like, oh, I hate talking in front of people, so I have a podcast, wouldn't make much sense. But good thing, I fucking love talking. I have news. I have big news. There's big, hot, steamy movie news that Henry Cavill just dropped on all of us. He dropped it on us 3 hours ago. And it says, very excited to play a character as fantastic as Sherlock Holmes and very fortunate to be working with Millie Bobby Brown. That dropped 3 hours ago. That's a See What Sticks exclusive as of right now. Because no other podcast has recorded that. So you heard it here first, guys. And maybe on Instagram and Twitter. But you heard it here first. How do you feel about that?
And that's really the only news about this project we know, correct?
Yeah, that's it.
So I'm curious, because we all know the character of Sherlock Holmes. I'd say a majority of us have probably seen Benedict Cumberbatch's take on it, which I immensely enjoyed most of those episodes. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see Henry Cavill take it on. I mean, that dude's he's a handsome man. Also what role Millie Bobby Brown is going to be playing, which I'm glad to see her career is on the upward trajectory as well. Like, I mean, she's never gone down since, you know, her introduction with Stranger Things, but it's just like, she's a very good young actress, and I'm glad to see she's getting, you know, roles, and she's continuing to be a part of the public sphere instead of just kind of one of those one and done actors, like young actors that really doesn't find success after their breakout roles.
Yeah. And I think she seems pretty grounded. Probably her family and everything else, it has her very grounded, so she's not going to go crazy child star. She's going to go more like Justin Timberlake, who like transitions very gracefully, or like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or Elijah Wood, just transitions very gracefully into being a well-established adult actor as well.
And I've thought about that. Like, have we seen this generation, or within this generation of young child actors, like, we haven't seen really, or I don't know of any that like completely melted down in the public, you know, their
sphere.
What's that?
The public sphere.
Yeah, the public sphere. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I think Miley Cyrus might have come close, but really all she was doing was just like, you know, she wasn't killing people. She wasn't having like public nervous breakdowns.
Yeah, she's just smoking hella weed.
Drugs. Yes, she smoked some weed. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, she smoked some weed and went on a few talk shows with just pasties on her nipples. Haven't we all done that?
And I think, exactly. I think really the big thing with her was her role as a child actor was just such a wholesome character with Hannah Montana that, you know, the next thing you know, you see her twerking on stage with Robin Thicke, and that's people lost their damn minds. But it's just kind of like, she's growing up. She's becoming an adult entertainer, and not a pornographer, anything like that. But she's becoming a young woman that's wanting to entertain.
Yeah,
fuck it, let her do what she wants to do. Like,
and
let her be her.
And like, she hasn't. I don't think she's gotten arrested. She hasn't gotten any serious problems with anything. No like ODs, none of that, to my knowledge. Which, like, if you get caught up in that, it's unfortunate. That doesn't make you worse of a person. But like, even with Miley Cyrus, like, what she's done is just remade her identity, and good for her. Like, seriously, like, you have done this very successfully, and she was in that episode of Black Mirror, which was really good, and she's very clearly very funny. She's like, good for her. You did it the right way. Some people may have hated it, but fuck them.
Yeah, I guess my thought comes now back to Bieber. He had kind of his rough patches where he was getting, you know, arrested. He was acting like a little punk, and, you know, whatever. But
he fucking bought a monkey.
Anyway,
he bought
a monkey.
Yeah, he bought a monkey and like left it in the Berlin airport. I don't know why I know that. Yeah, he bought, and they was like driving his like chromed out Lamborghini into trees and shit in like Beverly Hills. I don't fucking know. But also, he wanted to fight Tom Cruise last week.
Yeah, this is so dumb. Like,
also, Tom Cruise would murder him. Tom Cruise,
he stays in tip-top shape for being a close to 60-year-old man.
Oh, yeah, and Tom Cruise, like, Tom Cruise is like whatever like that. I think that Justin Bieber and Tom Cruise are probably roughly the same height. But the thing about Tom Cruise is he probably sleeps in a cryo chamber like Daredevil and has people just hit him with wooden boards when he wakes up every morning. Like, Tom Cruise, like, if they got into an octagon tomorrow, Tom Cruise would bite his face off. Tom Cruise would just, like, summon the powers of Lord Xenu and just punch through Justin Bieber's heart like Kali Ma. That's what would happen.
You don't challenge a dude who's close to having his AARP card, yet still does most of his own stunts, like hanging from a fucking helicopter. Mission Impossible movies. Like, dude is gonna be. He's going to have some strength. He's got endurance. Like, he's going to go toe-to-toe with you, if not just straight wipe the floor with your ass.
Oh, yeah. He'll destroy you. And Justin Bieber, like, he clearly, like, works out. But he's probably like, yeah, I did a Muay Thai class once. Ugh. And, like, the thing is, I'm sure Justin Bieber's trainers don't want to beat the shit out of him. Because he's Justin Bieber. Tom Cruise is probably like, here's $100 million. I want you to kick the shit out of me for the next...
Fucking hit me.
Yeah. He's like, if you don't hit me, I'll buy and sell your home, and then you're fucked. And they're like, oh, okay. And yeah, Tom Cruise, he's like, what's that, like, the weird sex whip thing? Like, you know, I'm talking about the leather sex whip?
The cat o' nine tails?
Yeah, he probably has one of those with, like, thumbtacks in it. And he's like, every time you beat me, I have to whip myself 100 times. He's probably a monster. Yeah.
Most definitely.
That was my Tom Cruise thing. Tom Cruise, if you're listening, don't beat me up. this was a compliment, if anything. And if this is a fight, I'm 100% betting on Tom Cruise. Let's do it. Let's go in. Vegas odds, I'm winning. And you know that Tom Cruise, as soon as he saw that tweet, was probably like, it's time to train. And went down into his Tom Cruise cave. And it's just like the Bat Cave with just big fucking picture of him.
Hopefully he just rolled his eyes and like, this fucking kid.
Oh, yeah.
And just moved on.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is like, I'm too rich and famous for this, and I'm crazy. So he's like, I'm going to go have fun. What do you think Tom Cruise does for fun?
God, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't really been very vocal and like public about his Scientology ties. Like, obviously he's still tied to that. But like, I think after the backlash that the church has gotten, I think he knows, as far as from a PR standpoint, he's like, okay, I need to just kind of let that be that. Yeah. And I will just do my thing.
Yeah. Tom Cruise seems like one of those guys. This is my stance on this. There's a lot of horrible, horrible people in Hollywood who've been canceled for being handsy pieces of shit. As weird as Tom Cruise is, I don't think he's one of those. I would never see him being a handsy piece of shit. I could see him being kind of a monster to work with and a little bit of a diva, but I'm sure he's very respectful towards everybody. He's just probably a diva.
I hope so.
I think, just like what I've seen of him in interviews, I think he's just like, I'm Tom Cruise, I'm a diva, but I'm never going to be rude to anyone for any reason. I'm just Tom Cruise.
Yeah. From the interviews that, he's pretty much always done, he seems like he loves what he does, and he doesn't take it for granted.
Exactly. And I feel like the other people that like are handsy pieces of shit, he's just like, dude, what are you doing? I think that's probably his mentality. He's just very weird. But like kind of like how Jim Carrey's weird, but probably not a horrible person. He's just weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tom Cruise, come on this podcast. I would love to talk to you. You know when you're like, oh, what celebrity would you want to hang out with? I'd want to hang out with Tom Cruise. Because no one knows anything about his life. I'd want to see the Tom Cruise cave where it's just a bunch of free weights and just a big cave. It's just weights. And there's like one of those zero gravity chambers. He's like, this is how I prepare for my next stunt. Yeah.
Yeah. If Tom Cruise wasn't as short as he was, like compared to other kind of leading men in Hollywood, I think he would have had a role as Batman at some point in his career.
100%.
Like 100%.
Yeah. He'd be a really good Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's so, like, smooth and, like, he has this Tom Cruise, like, suave to him. I 100% agree with that. But, yeah, Robert Pattinson is now Batman.
I dig it.
I do, too.
I'm down for it. Like, people, it's stupid that people still, I mean, it's hard to not still connect him with Twilight because that was his breakout, role. But it's like, I think most people have not watched him in other movies, like, where he's Oscar-worthy actor.
There was one that came up recently where he was kind of unrecognizable, and people are like, holy shit, this guy's a good actor. And it's not Harry Potter. That's not what I'm talking about.
Was it Good Time?
I think that's what it's called.
Phenomenal movie. Like, I highly recommend people go see that movie. He's so damn good in that movie.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson, I'm stoked. And you know that guy's going to get shredded for Batman. He's already probably in really good shape naturally. That dude's going to be ripped up.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'd say he probably needs to put on, definitely, to really come off as, like, the presence that, like, Bruce Wayne would be if he walks into a boardroom. Yeah. Because, like, Bruce Wayne's not scrawny. And that Robert Pattinson's not scrawny, but he's very svelte.
Yeah, let's see how tall Robert Pattinson is. I'm going to look this up. Is Robert Pattinson... Is he taller than me?
I'm going to guess 5'10" or 5'11".
So, I was thinking he's taller than me, but let's see. Robert Pattinson... Height. Robert Pattinson is 6'1".
Okay, so he's my height.
Yeah, so he's slightly shorter than me. So, yeah, he's tall. And, like, Ben Affleck is short AF. And I think Christian Bale's pretty short. I think Christian Bale's only 5'10". And they were both very intimidating Batmen in their own right.
Is Ben Affleck short? I didn't know that. I've never met the guy, obviously.
Let's look. Ben Affleck. It's the first one that comes up. Ben Affleck height. Holy shit! No, he's not. He's 6'4". He's my height.
Holy crap!
That's why
I was gonna say, like, he doesn't come off as short.
I thought Ben Affleck was short. Holy shit! He is tall as fuck. He's my height. Jesus Christ! That's why he looks like a human brick.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It makes me want to look up all the other like actors that have played Bruce Wayne or Batman, like Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, Clooney.
Yeah, how tall? Christian Bale's 6 foot.
Okay, solid 6.
Yeah. How tall do you think Ryan Reynolds is? It's on this list.
I'm gonna say 6'2".
Yeah, he is 6'2". Yeah.
Damn, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. What is up with people in Hollywood being kind of shorter than like average? Or am I just really tall?
You definitely above. I mean, I'm above average for a white male in America, and so like you're definitely above me. But I don't know. I would say that it probably has to do a lot with their presence alongside of actresses.
Oh yeah,
they may not want them to be towering over them for maybe a romantic scene. They want them to kind of, because I can't imagine that would be a fun thing for a cinematographer to try and film between a short person that is significantly shorter than another person.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, here's a really funny picture, just to show you the height difference between me and my girlfriend. I just thought this was funny in this picture. That's the height difference. I know this is bad radio, but she's 5 feet tall and I'm 6'4". So you can imagine there's a lot of looking up and looking down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, good for Robert Pattinson. I want John Hamm to be the Joker.
Ooh, John Hamm. I think he would need to drop a lot of pounds, and he's a taller actor too. I think, isn't he? Yeah,
John Hamm's pretty tall. And John Hamm has got a hog on him. Have you seen those pictures? John Hamm.
I have not seen them. I have not seen a picture of his penis, but I've heard the rumors.
John Hamm has got a massive hog. Apparently John Hamm did porn. I watched an interview with him. This is not porn pictures. It's just if you type in John Hamm on Google Images, you can see pictures of his pants. Bro's got a hog. Good for you. I'm proud as another man.
He deserves it. He's a great actor. He's a good comedic actor.
Oh,
he seems like a genuine good guy. Like, good for
honestly,
him.
Yeah, good for you and your hog, John Hamm. But who would be a good Joker then for Robert Pattinson's Batman?
If they're going with Joker, I feel like Robert Pattinson would make a good Joker.
Ooh, Macaulay Culkin as the Joker?
Oh my god.
You just get him off the street.
Macaulay Culkin's looking good nowadays.
Yeah, he's cleaned himself up.
Yeah, he does for a YouTube channel called Red Letter Media. Mm-hmm. He does some reoccurring segments with them when they do their review or movie reviews and their half in the bag stuff. And he's a cool dude. He's funny. Yeah. He's definitely a good presence to go along with those kind of short form kind of review segments.
If you haven't seen Red Letter Media, I'm sure Ben has seen this. They have some really good Star Wars stuff on the prequels. It is so good. If anyone out there,
that's where they really blew up is with their Red Letter Media, or with their prequel hour and a half long.
They're so good.
Everything that's wrong with these movies,
and it's not just CinemaSins, which is kind of mean spirited in my opinion. They break down the prequels and why they're wrong, but not just shit on them. They break it apart, why it didn't work versus why it could have worked and all this stuff. It's really good. It must watch. But yeah, so there's other pieces of news that we totally got detracted from or sidetracked from when we were looking up heights and all this. Bond 25 has a poster. Okay. There's a Charlie's Angels trailer that came out today that I did not watch.
Nor have I.
But Paul Rudd has been cast in the new Ghostbusters. And
have they specified what role? Or if he's going to play a Ghostbuster?
I think it would be funny. I feel like he will play Ghostbuster, but I feel like it would be really funny for him to play the Rick Moranis role.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think that'd be hilarious. Just like this bumbling dude who just gets caught up in the worst situation. I think that'd be so funny for Paul Rudd, because I think people are going to expect him to be a Ghostbuster because of him being Ant-Man. But I think it'd be so good just to put him in such a an inconsequential role. It would bring him back to his days of being in Knocked Up and in 40-Year-Old Virgin and stuff, where he's just this hilarious background character. Or I think in my favorite Paul Rudd role of him as the surfer dude in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he's a surf instructor. It's yeah, man, I don't even carry a watch anymore. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, my phone has a clock on it. It's that. Yeah, I feel like they just gave Paul Rudd a bunch of pot, and they're just say stuff.
It's really weird, Paul Rudd's career trajectory.
Oh, yeah.
One of his earlier roles was he was in part 6 of the Halloween franchise.
He was in Friends.
That's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Clueless, he played a big role in that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, being a big horror fan, I was just it took me a long time before I realized that Paul Rudd it was Paul Rudd that was in part 6, a fairly shitty movie.
Yeah.
Of this franchise that had lost its way a long time ago. But I mean, everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah, and then he was in this romantic comedy when he was really young, when he was 24, that I wrote a paper on at school at Purdue. And I didn't realize Paul Rudd was in it. I just picked one randomly off the list. And it was a movie and Paul Rudd was in it. And it's based off a play, which is based off of a book. And I'm this is so weird. Paul Rudd is in this. It's not that great of a film. I kind of don't remember the name even. So watch it if you want. But, you know who would be... I don't know why... Oh, yeah, Paul Rudd's in the Ghostbusters. You know who'd be a really good Riddler? Ryan Gosling.
I think he would, yeah.
Because him as Harvey Dent would be so suave.
Right. It's hard to pick these characters not based off of past actors that have played them.
Yeah.
The ones that really set the standard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to kind of let these actors put their own spin and their own take on these characters that have been done so many times. Because, had we really not given, what's his name, a chance for The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger, had we not given Heath Ledger a chance, and we really just were you need to be more like Jack Nicholson. He's the one, he's portrayed it so well. If we told him, you need to be more like him, we wouldn't have gotten an Oscar-winning performance out of him.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a good point. And I think I would have maybe 2 years ago said Jake Gyllenhaal before he was Mysterio in the new Spider-Man, which apparently he's fantastic. But him and Nightcrawler would be a really good Joker, because him and Nightcrawler is legitimately terrifying.
His eyes are fucking creepy as hell in that movie.
Yeah, he has the scarier version of my haircut in that movie. He has the I didn't wash this haircut, and then he also weighs 85 pounds, and that movie is so good. And it's not Diego Luna. Who's the other guy in Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal? The guy who's his driver.
Oh shit! What is his name?
IMDb. Nightcrawler movie. It's gonna be the cast. So we're gonna go. It's Riz Ahmed. Riz Ahmed is in it.
Yes.
So good.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill Paxton's in that movie.
He is.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally forgot Bill Paxton's in that. And then Renee Russo plays the newscaster. Mm-hmm. She's also really scary in that movie for a different reason, because she knows what's going on.
Very different reason.
Yeah, she knows what's going on, and she's just yeah, keep getting me the stories. And I'm oh no, is this how the news really works? But yeah, Nightcrawler's a really good movie if anyone hasn't seen it. But I was going to make a really sweet transition about Henry Cavill playing Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher on the Netflix show, which I'm actually hyped about. which will lead into our topic for today.
Video games.
Yeah, we're talking about video games, partially because E3 just happened, and it was really uneventful. But I also now, for those of you who don't know, have a PC as well as a Mac, because I'm an asshole. And I can play the games on my Steam library now, because there's a while where I couldn't. And it's definitely been a little bit of like this renaissance of me playing video games. And I think a big thing that I need to get across at the beginning of this is I suck at video games. I have never been good. It is a running joke with my parents and my friends that the only reason people play video games with me is so they can beat me.
So you're talking more in the competitive sense.
Oh, 100%. If we're
there are
playing
plenty of video games out there that don't require any sort of interaction with another human being.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just talking about with any kind of competitive game or MMORPG, or even if we're even talking something as casual as playing Fortnite with a friend or PUBG with a friend, and we'll explain what all these are for those of you listening who may not know. But if we're just playing something single player like Skyrim, I'm fine. I can get my way through Skyrim. Because you can make the game easy or you can make the game hard, and your boy's making it mad easy. So, Ben, what was your first encounter with video games that stuck?
I would say probably Super Mario Brothers for the original Nintendo.
Okay.
I have very vague, but yet still kind of vivid memories of like learning my first time being able to coordinate moving right while also jumping at the same time, and like feeling like incredibly proud of myself that like I'm doing it, like I'm making my way through this level or this stage on my own. Like I get the concept, I get the physics of this video game, and it's like from that point on you're feeling like I'm unstoppable.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's such a big feeling in video games is that feeling of being unstoppable. And I personally love that feeling, which as much as I do suck at video games, it feels great. And so Super Mario was yours. I think my first big interaction, of course I had interactions with Super Mario and all that, but I think my first interaction with video games that really, really, really resonated, where I'm like, wow, this is more than just a thing, was playing the original Super Smash Brothers on Nintendo 64.
Oh, yeah.
That game, and then Nintendo released the GameCube with Super Smash Bros. Melee and all of that, but the first Super Smash Bros. I think was the first time I played a video game where I was like, whoa, these characters are from other video games, and they're like together, which blew my mind as a kid. And it was just fun because it was like a fighting game, but it was also lighthearted, and it just worked. And it didn't matter if you like sucked or you were really good. The game handicaps itself in such a way where even if you're really bad, you can get one bomb or you can pick up one item, like a lightsaber or the fan, and you just turn the tide of the battle. Even if you played 1,000 hours or 1 hour, everyone kind of has a shot in that game. And it's really fun.
Yeah, I think what's kept me from coming back, and I actually do plan on getting a Nintendo Switch again and picking up the latest Smash Brothers that came out for that. But I think what's kind of kept me away from it for so long was how big the roster got. Because it started off with, what, like 10 characters max,
something like that, yeah.
And now it's up to, like 20 plus.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, I think I could deal with trying to learn the mechanics, the nuances of each of the characters for the very first Smash Brothers. But now it's like, with the glut of characters that they make available to us, which is it's not a bad thing. Like, that much variety and that much, that level of choice that you get to pick who you want your fighter to be. That's great, but at the same time, it's like I want to be able to learn as many of these characters as I can, and I just feel like I'm going to limit myself to 3 or 4 characters that I just really latch onto and learn them like in and out.
Oh,
100%. And I don't get the full experience.
And I feel like now the game has changed to being you pick this player, you get really good at him, and that's the only player you really play as. And I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what it really feels like, where people are like, oh, who do you play as? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, Star Fox is cool, Captain Falcon is sweet, but people are like, oh, do you know all of his combos? And I'm like, this is not Mortal Kombat. This is not where you're like, hey man, Sub-Zero all the way, or I'm playing, I don't know, Raiden or Kenshi, or that's the extent of my Mortal Kombat knowledge, or Liu Kang.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, there we go. As you can tell, I've only ever owned one Mortal Kombat game because I suck at fighting games, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I think the game has changed, and it's become kind of a meme now, for better or worse. I don't know.
I think, yeah, part of it is because it was more so a year or two ago when they were first announcing Smash Ultimate for the Switch, and it's like the meme kind of became, oh, who's gonna be on the roster now? Who's the shadow of this, upcoming announcement for the roster? Who's gonna be? And people would go with the most absurd shit they can think of, which could be funny. Some of them were, but yeah, I think that just the size of the roster opens itself up to kind of poking fun at, busting balls, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the same problem that Pokemon has, where like when you had 150, it was very user friendly. Like, oh, you can learn like, oh, it's a this or it's a that. But now there's like 900 Pokemon, bro. I don't know 900 animals. I mean, probably I did. If you gave me like 900 pictures, I could probably get my way through it. But are you kidding me? Like, what are you talking about? I know the first 150 because I grew up with it. And I think playing Game Boy on the Game Boy Color was one of my first video game interactions as well, that I was like, this is awesome. Like digital cockfighting, so much fun. But that's what Pokemon is, if you really think about it. Sorry if I just ruined anyone's day. But yeah, besides that, Ben, going from that, whether it be Super Mario or whether it be Super Smash Bros., what is your favorite video game of all time? And then we'll talk about why that may or may not be the case, or why that may be the case versus something else.
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, I could easily give a list of like top 5, but to really narrow down my favorite, shit.
So I'll give you 2. The one you have the best memories of, like nostalgia, whether it's you go back to it or not, and your favorite right now. If someone's like gave you any system ever, here you go, you can play it. That's the nostalgia pick. And then one that you can just be like, right now, this is my go-to.
Okay. So my nostalgia pick, I think, would be our Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
For PlayStation 1. Mainly because I think that was probably the first game that I truly grasped how important and how good storytelling can be to a video game.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably between that and Resident Evil 2, where like my introduction to like solid storytelling in a video game and how much that could contribute to the overall quality of the video game. Yeah, that's probably my nostalgia pick, is Metal Gear Solid. For current, for me, it's kind of a toss-up between Red Dead Redemption, the first one, and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Those are both all incredible picks. I'm surprised you didn't say Resident Evil 2 as your favorite of all time, just because you're such a big horror fan. But, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Resident Evil is an action/horror game genre. And they just remade it.
Yeah, I truly do love both the original Resident Evil 2 and the remake that came out January of this year. And really, like, I don't have a solid reason why I picked Metal Gear Solid, pun intended, over Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
I think, except for maybe that the story goes just ever so slightly deeper. I mean, the lore of Metal Gear is fucking just, it's so deep and at some points incredibly convoluted and hard to follow. But I mean, Resident Evil also gets that to that point once they get past number 4 and into Resident Evil 5 and 6 territories where it kind of takes a big dip in quality, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do like Metal Gear Solid as probably my favorite nostalgia pick.
Which are the Resident Evils without Kojima?
You mean Metal Gear?
Yeah, sorry, Metal Gear.
Kojima was a part of all of them.
Oh.
Yeah, up through 5, the last true Metal Gear Solid game that was released. After that, him and Konami had their falling out, where basically Konami was just like, "You're going to leave because we don't like how you go about making your games." Because he does his own thing.
Yeah,
he didn't let Konami really dictate the scheduling, the content of his games, and so I think they wanted more control, and they were like, "Okay, you're out at Konami. We're keeping the Metal Gear franchise." And there hasn't been a Metal Gear Solid game since 5. There's been Metal Gear Rising with Raiden, a side character.
It's the sword one.
Yeah, which I don't think much of anybody cared about. There's been Metal Gear Survive, which was a stupid game that tried to introduce zombie horde mechanics to what was essentially Metal Gear Solid 5. Yeah. But Kojima has nothing to do with Metal Gear anymore. Yeah,
and Konami is apparently the worst company in the universe.
Yeah, they fucked up a lot. What they really did bad. A few years back, they released a demo for PlayStation. I know it's for PlayStation. I don't know if they released it, if it was for Xbox One or not, but it was basically it was called PT, and it was just this kind of random first person horror demo that you could play through for about 25 minutes, and at the end of it was revealed that was just kind of a concept demo for what was an upcoming Silent Hill game that was to star what's his face from The Walking Dead and Boondock Saints.
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus, yeah, he was supposed to be the main guy, and it was a collaboration between Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. So it was supposed to be for a Silent Hill game, that's fucking bonkers. People lost their damn minds. This is going to be incredible. And then Konami was just like, we're going to cancel it.
Yeah. And they've just been the worst, apparently, apart from that. As well as Rockstar, apparently, allegedly being the worst about some work things and overworking their employees, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, those are all really, really good picks for favorite old games versus favorite now. I think for mine, I tend to gravitate towards a few. There was a game for the PS2 called War of the Monsters that was really fun. I never really played for the campaign. It was sort of like Rampage, but in more of an open world city thing. You just kick the shit out of each other with two giant monster type Muto characters. It was fun. It was very 1950s-esque drive-in movie theater vibe to the whole game. It was very cool. But I think the games that really captured me the most as a kid that are console games, not computer games, like World of Warcraft or RuneScape, which I'll get into in a sec, are definitely Grand Theft Auto. San Andreas was 100%. My first GTA was GTA 3, and then Liberty City, which was in 3. So I played GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, then Liberty City, which is GTA 4, I think.
Yeah.
And then GTA 5.
Okay. Have you ever played the original Grand Theft Auto for PlayStation 1?
I have, the top-down one. It is super fun.
It is. And I don't know how my brother and I stumbled upon this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was actually an advertisement for the game Pro Magazine, which I had a subscription for way back in the day. And I think what drew us to it was in the bottom half or the bottom corner of the advertisement, there was that sticker, that parental advisory, explicit content. And we had never seen that thing on a video game. It was always on music. It was on CDs or cassettes. Mm-hmm. We're like, holy shit, what's this game about?
Yeah.
So I think we got our mom to go buy the game for us. And yeah, like the rest is history. We're like, what the fuck? This game is incredible. Like we're just running people over. We're shooting people like left and right. And we both turned out perfectly normal contributing members of society. But
100%.
It was just like, holy shit, what is this game? And then it just evolved from there.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. I just remember the first time playing GTA San Andreas a little older, because I did play I've played all the GTA games, but San Andreas and 5 are the ones I put the most amount of time into, just because I played San Andreas when I was probably 10 or 11. Mm-hmm. And I just remember at the time those graphics were so good, and you could just walk around in fake LA, the same as GTA 5, same city, in Vinewood or Los Santos, and just kick the shit out of people. And you could go to the gym and get more buff. You could go steal weapons. It was like one of those things where you're like, oh my god, I literally can do whatever I want. And I think that's the first time in a video game I ever felt like that, where I was like, okay, I'm driving to do my mission, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I want to get out and murder all of those people, which also I've turned out fine in violent video games. I think we're not going to get into that one. That's a complete rabbit hole for another day. But that game really captured me. And then another game, or another series, the Elder Scrolls series, the first one I ever played was Morrowind. And I've put more hours into Morrowind than I have probably Oblivion and Skyrim combined. Because Morrowind came out when I was in grade school, maybe like 8th grade-ish, maybe. It came out around then, maybe 7th grade. But I played Morrowind, and I loved it. I was like, oh my god, I can be anything. There's a giant open world that's all like high fantasy. I'm a huge high fantasy fan. It blew my mind. And then Oblivion blew my mind again. And then Skyrim, I think, made the Elder Scrolls series what it is. Like, everyone knows what Skyrim is. Even if you've never played it, you've heard the name Skyrim.
Yeah. Skyrim was and is the only Elder Scrolls game I ever played. Mainly because I never had a PC that was up to the task of running those games before Skyrim. And, well, I had Skyrim for the PS3. But I guess, and this was pretty much, around the same time, or about a year after Game of Thrones had released. Yeah. Started watching that, got into the kind of high fantasy kind of stuff, or the more adult-oriented high fantasy. I read a review for Skyrim, like it was maybe a week or two before it had released, and I was like, okay, like let's give this a try. And I played Skyrim, and I'm like, holy hell, like this is what I've been missing. I haven't gone back to play like Morrowind or Oblivion yet, but I'm tempted to, just because like I've heard those have some elements that are better than Skyrim. Yes, even though Skyrim kind of really modernized, changed up a lot of things. Like it really, like you said, it really did kind of change that exploring RPG element that a lot of games had been done before, but nothing quite like Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Oblivion is the best out of the 3 games. If you're just talking story and game and stuff to do, it's the most diverse out of the 3. Oblivion has also the coolest thing, like the conceit of the game, like why you're in the game. So Skyrim, you're like the Dragonborn and you talk to dragons and stuff. Really cool. You get the Fusro power. But Oblivion has a very cool, very metal, opening up the gates of hell type thing, and you fight the devil, and it's really cool. And it's like a 1,000-foot tall devil and a dragon fight each other at the end. That's not a spoiler. That's not how the game ends. But it's really cool and very like heavy metal, like 80s metal. Like it's super cool, and I love that game. But I think my favorite modern game right now is, in the same vein, it's The Witcher 3. I have sunk so many hours into this game. Embarrassing amount of hours into The Witcher 3. And it continues to be unrelentingly punishing. For those of you who don't know what this is, The Witcher is based off a Polish book series. They're actually making a Netflix show, and they made 3 games. The third of which has been voted by a lot of people as the best RPG or role-playing game of all time. It has a giant map. It's an incredibly in-depth story. The graphics are off the charts. It's very adult. There's a lot of nude. It's very Game of Thrones adult, but there's more monsters and goblins and like oogly booglies, so to speak. But The Witcher is it's one of those things you just need to look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it, or play it if you have access to play it. It's pretty fucking good. There's not much more you can say about The Witcher, but I guess an honorable mention for a nostalgia game is Halo 3, because I played that a lot in high school with friends. And Halo 3 was a go-to game in college as well. You have some friends over, you want to play local multiplayer, go play some Halo 3 with your friends and scream at each other all night. It's a great time. It still is to this day. But, Ben, what is your least favorite genre of video games?
Least favorite? I'm not big, though there are some games within the turn-based RPG genre that I do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my style and not my pace of gameplay
of JRPG
that I like. That's probably the one that I just don't take to as much as most other genres.
Yeah, I think that's definitely... I didn't even think of that genre. Now you mention it, I also don't like that. But I am so trash at fighting games and racing games. I am so bad. Not that I don't love them, I am just shit. Even if you're talking Mario Kart, I am bad.
I'm not terrible at either of those. I don't enjoy necessarily either of them, though I do... I like kind of the more arcadey racing stuff like Mario Kart that doesn't take too much skill.
Oh, yeah.
The playing field is pretty even if you're, competent with the controls.
Yes. As long as you have a vague grasp on what's going on, you can win. But a lot of like Forza and the other racing games, if you don't know exactly what you're doing, you will suck. Like, you need to know how a handbrake works in those games. You also have to have a very loose understanding of how stick shift works. And if you don't know how to drive stick in real life, you're not going to be good at one of those games.
Yeah. I remember playing Gran Turismo, either 1 or 2 back in the PlayStation 1 days, and trying to do manual shifting on that. And my brother was getting so pissed off at me. He's like, no, you got to do it like this. Like, you can't just... It's not like an automatic transmission. I'm like, I don't understand this.
Yeah, like, if you don't understand how that works, you can't play those games. That's where a video game is like, stop being so realistic, just be fun. So, what is your opinion of Fortnite and the Battle Royale genre, which essentially is Hunger Games, the video game?
Right. It doesn't appeal to me.
Okay.
I've played Fortnite for a couple rounds, couldn't get into it. I've tried Call of Duty's version, Blackout for Black Ops 4, couldn't really get into it, even though I kind of enjoyed it a little bit more than Fortnite. I've never played PUBG. I have not tried Battlefield's version yet. I don't really see it being that much different than all the others. Just, I don't know. It's a slower pace of play because you need to kind of go gather resources, stay hidden from. You can't just go and
guns
nuts
blazing.
out, guns blazing.
Yeah.
You could. It's not going to get you very far, most likely. But yeah, it's really just not my style of gameplay. I don't prefer it. I don't dislike it, but it's just I avoid it. I don't really care for it.
Yeah, I agree. So I played a few rounds of PUBG, or not PUBG, of Fortnite, which essentially is a last man standing game, and you also have to know how to build stuff. I suck at building, so I'm not good at the game. Also, it's a lot of 14-year-olds on there who are saying a lot of inappropriate shit and really cuss you out, which is a little discouraging, but it is free, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, just not for me. It is a cool concept, and I respect it. I have played PUBG a lot with my roommate Matt and my buddy Jacob. We played quite a bit of that. I am trash. I always die really early, and they put the team on their back and win. And then the newest one that I tried was Apex Legends, which is also free, where there's more like classes. Still not good. Apex Legends is by far harder than all the other ones because there's different like categories of players. Like there's like healing players versus like fast players versus stealth versus whatever. So difficult. I don't get it. It's just so hard. It makes me sound like an old guy, but it is so hard. And it stresses me out. I don't want my video games to stress me out. But yeah, that's kind of, I have the same sense. They don't appeal to me the same way. Kind of like Minecraft never did. I was never part of the Minecraft. I was too old for the Minecraft like generation or whatever. Because I have Minecraft on my computer. I've literally opened it 3 or 4 times and I'm like, these graphics are so off-putting and upsetting to me. I don't like it.
And with Minecraft, it's like in that kind of thing, one of those kind of games that doesn't have a goal, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't get into that.
Yeah.
Like that, I tried to play No Man's Sky after they had finally like kind of worked out all the kinks and bugs with it, and people had been saying it's actually a playable game now. I played that for a few hours, and just without that lack of an overall goal or some sort of really overarching story that I cared about, I could not continue.
Yeah, I have No Man's Sky. I actually, weirdly enough, was playing that yesterday. I was giving it a go again because of it being updated. And you're right, like, it's really impressive to have all those planets. It's incredibly impressive, actually. However, you're just alone in the universe, and it's really sad. Like, if you could meet up with your friends, if you and a friend could meet up and go to like a space station or something, that'd be a lot more fun. Then you're like, oh yeah, we can do whatever. But there's no motivation to further your progress.
Right. And I really don't like the style of gameplay where it's like resource grinding for hours just to get, some sort of fuel or an element that you need for whatever. That just doesn't appeal to me at all.
Yeah.
But I can see how a game like No Man's Sky can be a relaxing kind of therapeutic thing for someone that enjoys that exploration element of it.
Yes, for the exploration element is really cool, and I've played it with friends over, and just showed them like, hey, you got to check this out if you're not big into video games. And they're like, dude, I don't want to play a game. I'm like, no, this is kind of different. Like, just play it. Just try this. Especially if you don't know what it is going in, I'm like, this is like nothing else you've ever seen. This will actually blow your mind. And it's a really cool thing to show friends. It's like a tech demo. It's really impressive for what it is, but it isn't a full game. It's a really cool concept for something else. And that leads me to a question. What do you think about developers releasing games that aren't complete yet, or games that you need to get the DLC, the downloadable content, for those of you who don't know what DLC means, for the real game experience to happen, and then on the end of that, microtransactions? So what's your opinion of those 3 things?
So starting with the first one, basically, like, and I think this is more apparent on things like Steam or Epic's game, their kind of Steam competitor, where they're putting out games that are still in beta or pre-access, I think is what they like to call a lot of them. I'm not against that, but what I am against is where a developer will keep the game like that for a long ass time, and where they don't seem to be making any progress on putting it into a full release, where they're really just, getting money, people paying like $30 for the pre-release or the early access version of the game, and they're just giving them an incomplete game.
Yeah. It's like giving somebody half a sandwich. Really,
yeah. So I don't agree with that style or with that way of doing the early access. Then with DLC content, if a developer puts a giant chunk of their game behind DLC and makes the player buy it in order to get the full game experience, they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I understand making, or it's a model to continually make money off the consumer, but when that content is already on the game disc, if you're buying physical media, if that content's already on the game disc and it's behind a paywall, fuck off.
Exactly.
You can charge me for DLC that your development team has been working on post release.
Yes,
I'm fully fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I understand you guys. You put in the time and the effort to make that. Sure, I will give you money if I'm interested in what you are going to offer me. If you guys were working on it post release because you felt like you could add more to this experience for me,
Yeah.
cool. But anything other than that, like paid DLC wise, you know, nope, I don't like it. And that's really that moves into microtransactions. If it's anything other than cosmetic, which I could care less about, I'm not going to, you know, buy a skin for a gun or an outfit. That doesn't really appeal to me. Yeah. It may to some people, whatever. But if it's not helping a player win in any sort of way, cool, whatever. But the microtransactions where it is pay to win, where you can buy a gun that others have to grind for.
Yeah.
If you can buy something that gives you a clear advantage, you know, I think the overwhelming consensus from the gaming community is just like, no, that's predatory, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, and it gets very close to gambling, where
yes,
that's why they got rid of it in the newest Star Wars game, is because it was like these mystery loot box crate things that essentially could give you perks, but they also could give you kind of nothing. And the main audience for the main buying audience for these loot crates in general were like kids using their parents' credit card or debit card. And while that has its own thing to it, the side of it that's wrong is that you could spend, let's say, $10, $15, $20, whatever, and get nothing. Now, if you're going to spend $20 on a video game that you already own, get $20 worth of content out. Get $20 worth of story or gameplay or something. But if that $20 is going towards something that's worth $3 in the world that you've set up in this game, that's where the problem is, and that's why it's kind of like gambling, because you don't know what you're going to get. I think microtransactions are bullshit as well. But if you're paying, I want to pay $6 for this extra map or this extra mission, that's fine, because you know exactly what you're getting. It's been labeled. I'm not going to do it personally, but it's very honest. And if you're trying to get money out of people, like GTA 5 has the online mode where you get new skins, all this stuff. A lot of money goes into it, but it's very honest about what it gives you. It's very much like, spend the money here. This is kind of the shopping mall of shit you can buy in-game. It's super upfront. While I don't completely agree, it's better. But also, how about you just give us a fucking finished game? Because they used to do that. That worked out great. Literally everyone was happy. And now at E3 or another game development conference, a game has to be like, hey, we're not going to nickel and dime you. There's no paid content. You shouldn't need to say that. That's a problem.
And that was kind of one of the big selling points for, even though they didn't really have a huge presence, but Activision and Infinity Ward with the upcoming Modern Warfare game, they said that all the DLC maps, all content post-launch, it's all going to be free.
Yeah.
And people were happy, but it's because Activision especially is really bad at this, like, especially with Black Ops 4, their DLC and microtransaction policies and the way they did it was really fucking bad and bullshit.
Yeah.
You paid... It used to be with Call of Duty, for their season pass, you would pay, probably $50 or so, and you would get all the DLC maps for it, like, probably maybe even a week earlier than anybody else that wanted to buy each DLC pack individually.
Yeah.
Well, with Black Ops 4, they changed that to where, okay, you can get the Black Ops pass. We're not going to offer any individual DLC map packs to come out. You have to buy this $50 Black Ops pass in order to even get that.
Yeah.
And the Black Ops pass has been the biggest load of bullshit in the world.
Yeah.
Because you pay that $50, but yet you still have to throw down extra money if you want access to certain weapons. You don't get that. So you're paying... Some people that want to get the full experience are paying upwards of $200 for this one game.
Yeah.
And that's awful. That's super, super shitty, business ethics on Activision and Treyarch.
Yeah, it really is. It's horrible. And the first time, usually when I see that, I roll my eyes. But there's a few times I'll see a game come out or be looking forward to a release, and I'm like, I want this game. I want to buy it. Honestly, my Steam library has like 28 games. Just because I'm not a huge gamer, it's probably apparent by this conversation. But there's these games called Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor that are Lord of the Rings style action games. They're kind of open world. They're super fun. You just kill orcs. Super cool. The first one I have, and I love it. It's really fun. It's similar to this series of Batman games, similar fighting mechanic. Very fun. Well done. The second one, which is called Shadow of War, is a sequel to the game, but apparently the microtransactions are so blatant, and it prompts you to spend money so hard. And I've heard it from reviews. I've heard it from friends who've bought it, like friends who I trust who are big video game people. They're like, hey man, if you don't like this kind of thing, do not buy it. And I actually didn't go out and buy the game, even though you can buy it for like $20 now, because of this thing that's an annoyance that I don't need to spend more money on, but I don't want a game constantly binging me to be like, hey, spend more of your money. Hey, spend more of your money. So I didn't even buy the game. Like, they are losing out on $20 from someone who they could have gotten $20 from, but because they're so obnoxious about it, they don't get anything. And I think if you're going to do that, the Batman Arkham games did it well, where that you get the full game, you get everything, and then you can pay for skins for Batman. Mm-hmm. And then if you get the Game of the Year edition, which comes with all of the junk, that comes out like 6 months later, and maybe it's another $20, you just get everything up front. And it just comes with a whole bundle. But it comes out later. I'm fine with that as well, because you know what? Maybe you want to wait a little bit, see what friends think, play it at a friend's house, look at a review online, and then if you wait, good things come to those who wait. You get a bunch of shit. I'm even fine. Video games are usually $60, $65. I'm fine with video games going up to $85, but never having a microtransaction again. I'm fine with that. What do you think?
I don't know so much about the increase in price. I feel like developers and publishers make enough money off of these games alone at the $60 price point, and they make so much profits off of these games that I don't believe there's a justification that we need to raise the price, or they need to raise the price to $80 in order to get rid of the microtransactions. Because really, like, the microtransactions are just more like icing on the cake for them.
Yeah,
it's just that continual business model of making more and more money.
Yeah,
I agree with you that with like Rockstar and GTA 5 and their shark cards, mm-hmm. and how GTA Online for them has been their most lucrative video game aspect of anything ever, because it's made them billions.
It's made so it is the highest piece of media profit-wise out of anything ever. It's made $5 billion itself.
Yeah. But like you said, it's transparent enough to where, like, they tell you, hey, we're offering you this. Mm-hmm. Like, for this amount of money, this is what you're going to get.
Yes.
It's not, there's no gambling in it. There's no, like, possibly throwing away $10, $15 to get shit. Mm-hmm. So, but they've made that work. It did come kind of at the expense of them releasing any sort of story DLC, mm-hmm. which previous GTAs had. Mm-hmm. Like, even GTA 4 had Liberty City stories, like The Ballad of Gay Tony, mm-hmm. that kind of stuff.
And then there's one more. There was like 3 that came out.
The biker-oriented one. But yeah, they're making enough money off of GTA Online that they're like, we don't need to waste our time on making, a story element DLC, which is disappointing, but mm-hmm. you get it from a business standpoint.
Yeah, like their resources that they've like allocated for themselves for this project, the development wants to go somewhere else, and I get that. It's not great, but I get it. And at least mm-hmm. they're, as much as they want our money, they're being honest about wanting our money. They're just being like, we want your money. Here, if you want to spend your money with us, at least you know. But yeah, and that's the thing that other games like The Witcher came out, right? And I mean, I love this game, so I'm going to talk about The Witcher and compare things to it. But when you get The Witcher, just the normal game, it comes with the normal game, just The Witcher 3. And a lot of people have sunk in 400 or 500 hours into The Witcher 3. Then there's 2 DLCs that came out that they announced when the game came out. They're like, there will be 2 DLCs. They came out a year, then another year after because they're so big. Each one of those DLCs has a few hundred hours of content. And I think each one was another $30. But it's one of those, if you're paying $15 to $17 for a movie for 2 hours, I'm willing to pay another $30 for like 100 hours of entertainment. So I'm fine with that. And there's no other microtransactions. It's all in-game. You got to earn that yourself. But then there's games like Mortal Kombat where you have to pay for additional characters. You can't just grind away and like beat a bunch of bosses to get them. I think that's wrong as well. And that, I think there's something there, like video games, if you're listening, I think video games, there's a subconscious lesson. If you practice and you train really hard, you can get cool stuff. Microtransactions teach you that you can buy your way to the top, which is wrong. That's just my stance.
Yeah. And especially with like competitive games, like competitive shooters, multiplayer games like that, when you give people the option of playing or paying to win, you're pretty much preying off of their kind of level of competitiveness that they want to get that edge on everyone else. And you're like, oh, you want that edge? Fork us over, $10 for this, $5 for that, $20 for this, and we'll get you there. And that's wrong.
Yeah, I think there's like a fundamental like not coolness to that. And there's other things I get with games that do a thing where, you get part 1 for free. Like the Telltale games, I know that company doesn't exist anymore, but the Telltale games where it's like the story-based ones, you get chapter 1 for free, and the next 4 chapters you can choose to pay $3 for. Or you can just buy the whole game together for like $18. You can pick. That's fine. Because like if you hate the game after chapter 1, cool. You don't need to buy the rest. It's not forcing you to do anything. But it says if you want the rest, you can buy them for $3. Or you can just do the whole thing. I like that. I actually do like that in there because some people might not want to play the whole game. Some people might. Some people might, for some reason, maybe they played it at a friend's house. They only want to play the last chapter. You can just play the last chapter. I do like that. I think that is kind of interesting as a business model for certain games.
The Hitman series.
Yeah.
For the first 5 actually, iterations of the series, it was just a straight up like mission after mission all in one game, and then they went to that episodic model. And I think it worked really well, just for the exact reasons that you put out. I think they charged maybe like $5 or $10 per episode. But you could also just pay $60 for the whole game, and then whenever the new map was released, you just download it and you have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, try it out. If you like this map, hey, look forward to this next one. You're gonna have these options in it. You're gonna have these targets to kill. And Hitman series is one of my favorite series of all time, just because I do like that kind of sandbox model to where you're given a target.
And Ben, you cut out on us. I don't know if you can hear, but for those of you listening, 1 second. Okay, and we're back after some technical difficulties. So sorry about that if you heard that in the middle. So, yes, Hitman. It's one of your favorite games because it gives you that freedom.
Yes, it's that sandbox model to where it basically gives you a fate that you're looking for, and then it drops you into that sandbox and basically tells you, hey, we've peppered around any number of ways for you to take this person out. Have at it. Yeah. The world is your oyster. Have fun.
And yeah, it's really fun because you can go through multiple different times through the same level, and you can put on different disguises. You can have different, like, more guns blazing ways of going in. You can have more stealth ways where, like, you don't even essentially take out one person. You just sneak past, get the one guy, and you're good. I had Hitman Absolution on my Xbox 360, and I remember there was a level in a cornfield that was so much fun because you could just pick off people in the cornfield, and you just felt like the biggest badass ever, and just you don't get discovered. You go through, find the guy, get in and get out, and you're just, it's like an Arya Stark. You're a walking shadow, and you just keep taking people out, and I love that. And I think there should be more games kind of like that just give you the fun and freedom without this other side to it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a game that was, or there was a game that was shown at E3 that's going to have some of those elements of Hitman. It was called Deathloop.
Oh,
and I think it was Ubisoft that it was under. But yeah, it's basically kind of like a time loop thing, like where if you die, you get to come back. Ooh. Like almost kind of like the structure of a video game. You die, you try again.
Uh-huh.
But they haven't really put out much of any details about the kind of mechanics or what kind of differentiates itself. But it had that real Hitman feel.
I like it.
Where it drops you into a mission, kind of tells you, have at it, do what you're going to do. But the two main characters were people of color, actually. So that was a nice little change and surprise that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I think that's another good thing in video games is more just diversity and getting exposure for different kinds of people in video game, not just having a white male protagonist, which I think is important. I know is important in video games, just because everyone plays games and you want the main character to look like you and to be you. And so there's a point I was about to make. You made a very good... Oh, so on that, what is your opinion, before we close this out, this is kind of a final opinion, on video games like Cyberpunk 2077, which is coming out, which looks really real? What is your opinion on that? Games that look really real.
That look like hyper-realistic?
Yes. They're nearly photorealistic. Nearly. Like, you're getting close to the uncanny valley.
I mean, I like graphics-wise, I like games that look great and that have an authentic kind of an authentic and artistic style to them, like something that separates them from everything else. But I guess like that hyper-realistic, photorealistic kind of look, it doesn't really do anything for me one way or the other. Like, it's probably going to look great. And playing that game might actually change my mind and like kind of put me more towards like, I think this is how we should go forward. But graphics aren't like, the biggest thing for me.
Okay, I'm in the same boat. I think there's definitely going to be a line of like this uncanny valley, which gets like, oh, this is weird. But apart from that, if a game is fun, I care if it's fun more than if it looks perfect.
Right, and that's the thing with like the Nintendo. Like, it's not as powerful as say the PS4 or the Xbox One, simply because it needs to be both a home console and a portable console at the same time. You can't put that kind of horsepower into something like that.
Yeah.
But what it does but how it implements its graphical power limits into the games that you play on it, like Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey, those games look gorgeous because it knows how to use that power and how to use an artistic style to make it pop and look different than anything else you've played.
Yeah, and it uses it to its advantage in a big way, and I love that. I love the styling, because I know some people are like, every game has to look the most realistic, it has to be like this. No. Just like not every movie is a documentary. Not every video game has to be the same. It doesn't have to have the same art style. Just like every animated movie doesn't have to have the same art style. I think it's one of those, variety is the spice of life, and if all games look a little different, that's a good thing. As long as you can tell there's effort put in, and there's like this artistic fingerprint, I love it. And I think, if you have a super fun game that doesn't look perfect, like a Borderlands or a BioShock Infinite, which are very clearly more cartoony, but those games are so much fun. A lot more fun than a lot of games that look like hyper-realism, where you can see the sweat dripping off someone's brow. I think sometimes they put too much work into that and not enough work into the fact that this is a game. And I think that's my spiel on video games for right now. we're going to next week talk about PC Master Race and what that is, because that's a whole discussion that I want to know your opinion on.
I got opinions, so we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah, me too. Ben, do you have any recommendations for this week? Because I have one. That's an old one, but I have one.
Let me see. I haven't had really a whole lot of time to watch much of anything lately, so I think for my recommendation, go get yourself a good video game and sit down and play it.
Yeah, even there's some good mobile games. There are some very good mobile games, and there's some good games that are ports of big games that you can find on your phone. They're fantastic. Limbo is a good option. It's like $3. Give Limbo a try. And then my recommendation is I Think You Should Leave. I finally finished it. There's a bit with a horse farm that is so fucking funny that I started choking laughing.
That one is definitely one of these standouts of the whole season, and that got renewed. It's got a season 2 coming.
What's the thing? It's like Tom Tuggers, the shirt
TC
thing.
Tuggers.
TC Tuggers. That TC Tuggers, and they do a lot of commercials, like medical commercials, that are so funny. Like that is where the show shines, where it just goes out. It just goes to the absurd.
Highly recommend that show.
Yeah,
I think you could watch it in an evening.
Yeah, because it's only like 5 episodes. Each one's like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
It has
that kind of Adult Swim format of like 15-minute episodes, there's only like 6 episodes, so yeah, it's easily you could watch it in an evening.
They're so good, and there's a few of them that just get so weird. The Garfield House one, that is so strange. Some of those you could tell were just like, what? Like this, there's a few of them that were like a definite concept between a few friends, and other ones are like, well, what if we did this? And they're like, okay, how's this going to play out? And they just kept doing it. But I love it, and yeah, you should definitely watch it. But I'm going to close out. I'm Russell. We have a website. Look us up. It's always in the description. Come on, what are you doing? Ben, this is a different show. Do you know the name?
Nothing and Everything.
There we go. You want to close this out?
Yes. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. We hope to have you as an audience next week when we get a little bit deeper into video games, PC games, blah, 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 whatever. This has been Nothing and Everything. We don't have a tagline yet.
It's a show about nothing and everything.
Nothing and Everything. A show about nothing and everything. All right, thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.